That's so. Oh, yeah. Okay. Today's program, good morning, ladies. Hello, hello. A beautiful another Wednesday to nurture our souls. This week's day of learning is sponsored by our dear, the one and only Esther Sitbon, for the refuah shlema of Adele Miriam Bat Michal Aliyah. B'ezrat Hashem, that she should feel good, be home soon. And this week's lunch is sponsored by Valerie Fincheltob for Lilui Nishmat Noah. There's a J there, so it's Noach ben Yitzchak Isaac. Wow. Noah ben Yitzchak Isaac. Zichrono Livracha. It is also dedicated for the refuah shlema of Adele Miriam Bat Michal Aliyah, Tinok ben Michal Aliyah, Leah Chana Devorah Bat Chaya. No, Leah Chana Devorah Chaya Bat Mazel Tov, Shulamit Sulika Bat Rivka, Tinok ben Michal, Yosef Ishai ben Daniel Miriam, Eliyahu Navi ben Tita Esther, Noah ben Sloan, Leib Shlomo ben Sarah Leah, Rafael Yaish ben Chana, Laurence Aviva bat Sarah, Caroline Yehudit bat Joel Elian Sima, Helena Orna bat Chen Chana, Rafael Chaim Meir ben Sima Chasha, Rav Pesach Yosef ben Hinda, Rav Daniel ben Rachma, Alexandra Shirley bat Nicole Malka. B'ezrat Hashem, this list should shorten. We shouldn't have such a long list, and they should all feel good. Refuah shlema to all. And Lilui Nishmat Rabbi Shalom Dov Ber ben Eliyahu Akiva, which, by the way, I saw your testimony at the French Chabad's magazine last week, which was so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. It's really, really beautiful. Rachel bat Emilia and Elise bat Nina. Okay, so we're almost getting to Shavuot. We're not there yet. We're still building. But I want to just map out a little bit the skeleton of like the sphera, because just so that we can get like a visual image of where we're at. So if you had to see like the body work of the spheras, it's Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet. Okay, Hod, Netzach, Yesod, Malchut. So Yesod basically is the pulling point of a culminations of all the other sfirat. Meaning, like, it comes to tell us that Yesod, which, sorry, by the way, means bonding or foundation or connection, is the mother of all the other sfirat. Like, if we could have succeeded in really working in all the other midot, in all the other values, we would have to come to really doing well in our bonding. It should come to enhance our bonding, is what I'm trying to say. Okay? And this one was a big one for me this week because it really makes you think hard on your connections. And based on our shiur of last week about how, we spoke about strengthening the dimensions of our bonding, it made me now sit with myself and think about all the bondings I have in my life. With my children, with my parents, with my siblings, my husband, my friends, coworkers. It made you think about all the relationships that you really had. So actually what we're going to do is we're going to shift our attention a little bit. We're going to shift our attention a little bit to Pirkei Avot. But first let's start with a joke, because I said we don't laugh enough. Ready for a joke?
Yes.
Okay. It's really funny. I laughed a lot. It's really not funny, but I found it funny, okay? A woman accompanied her husband to the doctor's office. And following her husband's checkup, the doctor called the wife into his office to speak with her privately. He said, your husband is suffering from a very severe stress disorder. If you don't do the following, your husband will surely deteriorate and die. Each morning, instructed the doctor, fix him a healthy breakfast. Be pleasant at all times. For lunch, make him a nutritious meal. For dinner, prepare an especially nice meal for him. Have the dinner waiting for him on the table, hot as he arrives from home from work. Don't burden him with chores. Don't discuss your problems with him. It would only make his stress worse. No nagging is allowed. You must always compliment him at least 5 to 6 times a day, telling him how brilliant and talented he is. And most importantly, never disagree with him. If you can do these things for the next 10 months to a year, the doctor said, I think your husband will regain his health completely. On the way home, the husband asked his wife, so what did the doctor say? And she said, he's gonna die. No. joke, but I couldn't stop laughing. Okay, good. Now that I got you laughter, now we're open to hearing about bonding.
They're gonna think we're tricky.
That's what we would like to do.
She said, "Why were you staying for so long with the doctor?" She told me tragically you're gonna die. Okay, good. That was the point. That was exactly the point. Baruch Hashem Hashem. Good. Bonding, ladies. We're in it to bond. We want to bond. Oh gosh, I'm happy that we laughed. It's true because I don't think it's heavy and serious. It's good to laugh. This is YY, by the way. It's a famous joke. So part of what we're doing also in terms of the Sfirat HaOmer is that it's also aligned with Pirkei Avot, right? I mentioned that Pirkei Avot we read every week. We read Pirkei Avot, and now we're reading chapter 5. And to understand bonding, we have to understand the source of bonding, and the source of bonding comes from a very, very interesting pasuk. It's the 16th verse of the 5th pasuk, which means, and we're going to read it inside, okay? It's not in there. I have it in me, but I'm gonna tell it to you, okay? Kol ahava shehi talui bedavar batel davar batla ahava. I'll translate. Any love that depends on something, when that thing ceases, the love ceases. But love she'ena bitla leolam. It's cut off. Okay, hold on. Where's the full? Oh, here. Okay, ve'ena bitla leolam. But a love that is not dependent on anything, when it will persevere. Okay, and then they say the love that is dependent on something is a love like Amnon and Tamar. Okay, and the love that is dependent on nothing is like the love like David and Jonathan. So we're gonna pause on these figures. Okay, so let me ask you, when we want to bond with somebody, okay, when we really, really, really want to have a connection with somebody, okay, we want to get to what? What do we want to get to? When we want to bond with somebody very strongly, what does it give birth to? It gives birth to a stronger love. When I feel bonded by you, my love for you is very enhanced. Okay, my connection for you is very strong. When my bond is real and authentic, okay, my love, it gives birth to a stronger love for you. That's true, okay? So Pirkei Avot here comes to tell us the source of love. And it says, when your love is dependent on something, when that something goes away.
This is Rabbi Minus freedom.
Yeah, big time. Then you don't have love anymore. Okay, but it's Pirkei Avot. But when your love is not dependent on anything, that is a love that can endure. And they give an example of the Torah. A love that is dependent on something is a love like Amnon and Tamar. And a love that is dependent on nothing and is unconditional is a love like David and Jonathan. Okay, let me tell you a story now. Okay, Tamar and Amnon. Buckle your seat. It's not the best story, but it's important for us to know what it is. Okay, has everybody ever heard about the story about Amnon and Tamar? It's a heavy one. Okay, so it's funny because when we're learning about love, there's two stories that are connected to David HaMelech. Amnon and Tamar happen to be David HaMelech's children. And David and Jonathan is the story of David and Jonathan. And it's funny because leading up to Shavuot is the passing of David HaMelech. So that's why we read Ruth, the book of Ruth, because it's about the lineage of David HaMelech. So to translate love, to really understand the types of love that exist in our life, we look at the story of David HaMelech. So Amnon was the son of David from one wife. I forget her name. But yes, she was the son of David from one wife. Tamar was the son of David from another wife. So really, they're half brothers and sisters. They share the same father with different mothers. Avi, you know what?
Achinoam.
Achinoam. Achinoam is the brother. So Amnon and Achinoam. No, sorry. No. Amnon is the first son, and then David HaMelech had another wife, and they had Achinoam and Tamar. Okay. Amnon lusted for his sister. Now, he could lust for his sister, really. She was from a different mother. And also, she was not really converted because her mother was the daughter of a king, so she didn't really convert. So he could really technically marry this sister. Amnon. Amnon's mother married. David had a wife. I forget her name. Had Amnon. Okay. Had another wife. Had Aminadab. Was it Aminadab and Tamar? Amnon lusted his half sister. Right. David HaMelech is the common father between both of them, and he really, really liked her. And this very wicked man, which I also forget his name, something Yochi, something, he said, you know what, if you really love your sister, why don't you pretend to fall ill? Yeah, Maka, that's her name, yes. Why don't you pretend to fall ill, and then David HaMelech will come and visit you, and then you can request whatever you want because you're his oldest son. That's exactly what he did. He pretended to fall very, very sick. And obviously his father, David, came to visit and he said, my son, what can I do for you? How can I help you? He said, can you please put Tamar to come and take care of me? Can you please ask that Tamar look after me and cater to me since I'm feeling so lousy? And that's exactly what he did. He asked Tamar, and like a good daughter, Tamar listened to her father, David, and she went and she tended to Amnon. Now, Amnon at this point found it that this was the opportunity to share his infatuation and lust for Tamar. And Tamar, who was a pious woman, said, let's not do it this way. Let's get married. And because we are siblings, this marriage could really work. Let's do it the right way. And at that moment, he was so obstructed by his desires for Amnon, for Tamar, that he didn't want to wait to get married to her. And, Torah doesn't shadow or doesn't hide the reality of what happened, but this is an episode in the Torah where he violated her, okay? Where he violated her and forcefully had relationships with her, and to the point that then after the Torah counts that he was disgusted by her. He was appalled by her. So obviously, why does the Mishnah come to say that a love that is dependent on something is a love that will cease? Because what did Amnon really want? Yes, maybe in the forefront he wanted Tamar, but he wanted to satisfy his gratifications. He had his own animalistic desires, and really it's not that he wanted Tamar, he wanted himself. He wanted his desires met. And once the desires were met, he didn't want her anymore. So much as the Torah recounts that he was disgusted by her. Once he was gratified, once the need was met, it doesn't matter who the person was, not interested anymore. Now, this is a harsh story, but we could think about, like you said, Manis Freeman, he loves to talk about this. When you have a thing that's in between a couple or a thing that's in between parents, when the thing is not there, you're not interested in the person. If you marry your husband for his good looks, let's say, for his stud-like masculine, then when he comes of old age and gets old and gray, then because you married him only for his good looks, when the good looks are not there, will you love him the same way like once you only loved him for that one reason? If you married him for his money and his money is gone, right? I'm telling you. So when there's a thing in between two, when that thing is gone, there's no relationship. So the Mishnah tells us, don't look for a thing. Because if you're marrying something on a condition, once the condition is not met, you won't love that person anymore. And then the opposite happens with King David and Yonatan. Now, for those that know, it's a really interesting, I love the Navi. I love the Navi. So stories and stories, and it's beautiful. But David and Yonatan had a love that was so profound. And now let's not get into what people say here, but it was so profound because it was rooted in the soul. And they say that their love was so strong that was like a man and a woman's love. But obviously there was no relationship there. It's just that they became such good friends. So David and Yonatan, I'm going to map it out for you. David, remember with Goliath, he slung the slingshot and Goliath fell, and everybody was really impressed by David. But Shaul HaMelech was the king at the time. And then Shaul HaMelech gave his daughter Michal. We went over this, right? And Michal's brother is Yonatan. So who's next to the throne? Yonatan. Shaul's son is Yonatan, and after Shaul should have left the throne, it's Yonatan that's going to take over. But so really, Yonatan should be a threat to David. He's really if David, the whole community loved David because they were so impressed by who he was. Even Shaul was such in range of David. He was telling his son, you should hate him. Because if everybody's going to choose him, that's taking away your kingship. That's taking away your throne to glory. But no, he helped him run away from Shaul. He loved him. The love was deeply rooted in their soul. This relationship grew to something great. This relationship was not conditioned on if he's going to take my throne, my status. It wasn't that. I love you because I've learned to know you, to get to know you, and we're good friends, and we care for each other. And then on the day that Shaul died, and on the same time Jonathan died, David makes a eulogy on Jonathan that was so deep, so profound. He says, I lost a friend, I lost a brother, I lost something that became so important to me. Because their love for each other wasn't dependent on, it wasn't about ulterior motives. It wasn't about a hidden agenda. There wasn't things in between, right? Like Master Freeman loves to say, there wasn't anything in between that was making that the love should be fortified. It was just the love for itself. So now that we know these two stories, it gives us a good context, okay? And the Rebbe actually gave a sicha about it, and he brings a very good lesson, okay? What's the root of the love between Amnon and Tamar? What's the root of their love? It was physical then, because that's when he wanted something, but the root is that they really are half brothers and sisters. So the love is really family. Do you know that you can never divorce your brother or your sister? You can never divorce your parents. This is an intrinsic love. It's an unconditional love. It's born, it's innate. It comes at birth. When you first come into a marriage, a family, when you first come into an exposure of your siblings, you love them. Whether you like them or whether you don't, you love them because it's you don't have to work on that love, right? You don't have to work on the love of your brother and sister so much because it's taken for granted. It's my brother, it's my sister, of course I love them. It's my parents, of course I love them. The Rebbe in his Sicha comes to say, look, even in a love, even in a bond that is so natural, that is so organic, it could come to Amnon and Tamar. Even a love that you think is never going to change. Storm comes, storm goes, it's my brother, it's my sister, nothing's gonna deviate, right? Even that kind of love, watch out. It could come to a place where there is a condition. And think about it even as parents. Our children are like nachat machines. We're waiting for the nachat call. So do you love your child for the nachat that they bring you? Your brothers and your sisters, your family, if not nurtured, if not cared for, this intrinsic love that really doesn't need you really to work because it's natural, could also have within the pasuk Talui Shebadava. Amnon and Tamar were half brothers and sisters. They're born in the same family. The love should be there just because. But even at that, the Mishnah says that this is a love that was conditional. So even with our siblings, oh, hello. Even with this is your invitation to call your brothers and sisters, to call your mothers and fathers, And to not take it for granted that the love is still there. To not take it for granted that the love is still there. That this is kind of a love that we should also work, a bond that we should also work. Hi. And the love of David and Yonatan. David, we're learning the Mishnah. It's the 5th Mishnah. I want the whole thing. I don't know why I can't have it, the whole thing, but let me see. Yes, it's a beautiful Mishnah. כל אהבה שהיא תלוי בדבר, בטל הדבר, ביטלה אהבה. ושאינה תלוי בדבר, אינה ביטלה לעולם. Right? David and Yonatan is the love like a husband and wife. In the beginning, you would think that a love would endure when it's natural. A love like a brother and a sister and a parent should for sure last till 120 years. But it doesn't. Because we see from Amnon and Tamar that are brother and sister, there was a thing that separated their love. His desire for her made that once his desire was met, he doesn't want her anymore, doesn't care for her, hated her. David and Yonatan, when you're dating, okay, you don't love the person you date all of a sudden. That's awful. You have your selfish needs. Yes, you actually have your conditions. You come into this dating process with like, there are certain things that I'm looking for in order to agree to spend my life with this person. So we see that actually when we start with building up, not something that's innate and natural, but building a love, that's a loving that can be endured for life. David and Yonatan's love for each other was the one that's not talui, was the one that is forever, that is rooted in the soul. So it's funny. You would think that a brother and sister, something that is your family, something that is so close to you, that it resembles you, that you recognize, should be a love that can go on forever. But the Mishnah comes to tell you, no. Within the unconditional love that you have for a brother, sister, mother, father, it also needs to be worked on. It's the one that you take for granted. But the one of a marriage, that's the one that you come in and there's no real relationship. We're not family. We're two strangers. We come up to each other. We have no idea with each other. We have maybe some common goals and we'll see if it gets to where it has to get to. But that's a love that you come in with the work. That's a love that you come in and you don't take it for granted. You're not related to me. So how often do we speak to our parents or to our siblings, very loosely, with a looser tongue, with a looser attitude, because we take it for granted that this is an unconditional love. But within that, it can become very conditional. How many times do we hear stories of families broken apart, siblings that are not speaking to each other for so long, right? Hashem Yishmo. But a marriage love, the basis of a marriage, right? The source of the marriage love is that it came without this taken for granted. It came with work. Here you are, here I am. We have nothing in common. There are no genes attaching us. We are two separate entities, very different, not from the same family. The Maharal comes and says, you actually shouldn't marry from your family. You should outsource. We should multiply from, different walks of life. So you come and you meet a person and then you see the common grounds, you build together. That building, that growth comes to a love that is now not conditional and can endure for life. A bond that can be so strong. So isn't it funny that doesn't it make you think that something that really should be naturally to you should endure for life, but it doesn't? It can come to a position of talui, like Amnon and Tamar, which were brother and sister. But one like Yonatan and David, which really, really should be in conflict. David took Yonatan's position. Yeah. But yet they had a friendship and a care and a strength with each other that brought that their love was the love story of all Tanakh and the Navim. Right? It's the poem of all poems, their love for each other. So too, this kind of idea, think about it with Hashem. Think about it with Hashem. And this, I need your help to, let it sink in our mind a little bit, okay? We have a love with Hashem that is like a love, like a brother and sister. It's innate. It's natural. Our connection is like a mother to a child. There is a piece of God in us. So it's without effort. Okay. We all feel that. All of us today feel that we're a child of Hashem and that I have God. I have a God in my life. So when you feel that, you feel protected. You feel nurtured by a parent. But what happens is that version of the love we take for granted. We take for granted. That unconditional love that we have because the source of it is that we're one and the same, gets pushed away. Our loose tongues, our loose actions. We forget that this kind of love that should really endure, we also have to nurture and progress and care for and tend to. But then we also visit God with the different side of the lens. I feel far from you, but within my furthingness, I feel close. The working, the ladder, the building, the strengthening, the challenge that sets us back but springboards us 10 times forwards. I don't know about you, but I'm like on a lot of group chats of a lot of picker-uppers. I love the group chats that are around, and they're really, really profound. And they give you like a little snippet of like how you can enhance your day that day. So whenever I read it, I feel very enlightened. I feel very inspired. But then I very quickly fall back to the fear, the anxiety, the trouble, the why Hashem, the anger. It's a real paradox. At one moment, everything is so clear. My bond to Hashem is so real, is lifting me. And then another second, it's like, but why are you hurting me? Why do I feel stomped on? Why do I feel pushed to the ground? Like, am I not, you know what I mean? Like your language changes completely, and in some way, that's the difference between the love that we have. We have one that feels unconditional, a spiritual haven. We're floating and floating, and it's good, but we take it for granted. We take it for granted. It's aloof. And then the other one that feels hard, workful, needs strengthening, needs building, that's the one that's distance but bringing me closest, and which endures. Because it gets to a point of bonding that is not just, I love you, I care for you, the acts of kindness. It creates a dimension that's much deeper. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. So in the week of Yesod, we need to be practical here, okay? In the week of Yesod, now that we can understand through this Mishnah, the two different kinds of love, I want to come to a point of love with my children, with my husband, that is explained like in this Mishnah. One that is unconditional, one that is not taken for granted, one that also requires a lot of work, okay? And this week, if you want to see it inside, this week, or today, is Tiferet Shebeyesod. Let's just read it so that we can make it practical for us today, okay? So, Tiferet Shebeyesod is compassion in our bonding, okay? True bonding is more than affection. It's standing with someone not only in joy, but in struggle. Standing with someone not only in joy, but in struggle, okay? Tiferet Shebeyesod teaches us that the real connection must carry the weight of compassion. It's easy to love when things are smooth. This is true. When your children are well behaved and nicely groomed and calm and not giving you a hard time, it's easy to say, my children, my love, chérie. When things are easy, it's easy to love. But your love and your bond is tested when when it's going to tell you, is there a condition? Do you only love your children? Do you only love your children when they're well behaved and well groomed? That's a talui. That's the Mishnah we're talking about. Let's take it deeper. Hi. 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 Welcome. Hi. Coffee break.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, please, welcome, join us.
Outside, there's like, no.
Oh, yeah, come in. No, you,
Even if we're late.
no, you
Yeah.
also, you always come in. I'd rather you be in than be out. Please, always come in. We can always reiterate. We can always reiterate, okay?
Thank you.
So we're talking about the sphera. We're talking about today's sphera, and I'm going to read it again so that everybody really feels it. And I'm going over it because I think it's really important. I think it's really important. Our topic today is about bonding. How we really want to strengthen the bonds that we have in our life. Those bonds can look like a bond between a husband and wife. Those bonds can look like a bond between mother and children. Those bonds can look like a bond with a friend, with a coworker, with Hashem. Okay, this week we're in the energy of bonding. How do we fortify our connections and our strengths and our unwavering faith towards our creator and towards the people around us? Okay, so today we're in the day of Tiferet, which means compassion in our bonding. Okay, so let's do this again. True bonding is more than affection. It's standing with someone not only in joy but in struggle. Standing with somebody not only in joy but in struggle. Tiferet Yesod teaches us that the real connection must carry the weight of compassion. It's easy to love when things are smooth. True. But bonding that endures is one that feels, supports, and stays even when the road gets difficult. Compassion within bonding means showing up when it's uncomfortable. It means holding space for someone else's pain without judging them, without needing to fix them, simply by being present. And this resonates a lot. How many times when you feel that somebody needs just to hear you, you need to be and jump in as the superhero, as the leadership mother or wife, whatever it is. It's called the superhero effect. And you're giving them all these kinds of tips and tricks. And you think that with them coming to give you their pain, they're looking for your solution. What happened to just sitting quietly with them? You're having a lot of pain. You're going through a difficult challenge. Why can't I just sit with you and be present in your pain? Why do I need to feel like I need to fix you? That's number one. And worse is, why do I judge you? It must be because you're doing this and this. How many times do people, when they come to ask for advice or just to feel somebody else, they want to just talk about what they're feeling, what they're going through, and then people pass judgment. It must be because so-and-so. You must not be doing this and this right. You're not strengthening a bond when you're coming to fix the person or passing judgment on them. How can you be strengthening a bond if you're not endorsing compassion? Compassion means you have an issue, there's a problem, sit with me and let me create space just for you to be. Let me hold still with you right here with your pain. Let me just do this. Because you don't need for me to fix your problem. You don't need for me to give you this amazing idea. You need me just to be here with you and not to look with a judgmental eye. Let me just let you, in my world, share the problems that you're experiencing. That's Tiferet Yesod, bonding with compassion. And the truth is, we can't strengthen our bond. Our loves can't take it to the next level if we do not have compassion, if we don't inject compassion. What happens is that the other person doesn't feel like you're a safe zone. And when there's not a safe zone, there's no opportunity to being vulnerable. And when there's no opportunity to being vulnerable, you're not letting them into the script of your heart. Does that make sense? Am I okay? So let's keep going. Let's ask ourselves some questions, and they're good ones. Do I stay emotionally available when someone I care about is struggling? Do I stay emotionally available when someone I care about is struggling?
Not always.
Do I stay emotionally available? Can I do it? Like if I see that,
In which situation you're yourself. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not about you, right? Compassion is just creating space now. You have a certain indication on a person. You have a certain judgment. If you like it or not, you do. Are you, when they come and tell you the struggles, is your mind completely going to, it must be because he has that struggle? Or could you sit and see them as a person with their pain without creating that judgment? Is my bond conditional? We're going back to our Mishnah. Is my bond conditional? If he or she or my children meet certain needs, look a certain way, act a certain behavior, flashcard, right? The business card. Think about your relationships. We don't take the time to understand or even evaluate how many conditions we put on our relationships, unfortunately. We put so much conditions. Does this result to anything? Does this give me anything? Am I satiated? Am I satisfied? Is this the representation that I wanted for this relationship? Now, forget even if you're thinking interpersonal, also with God. Why isn't he delivering me what I asked? Why am I not banking on the job? Aren't I a good Jew? Why isn't this relationship deriving anything for me? With our Creator, we do the same. We put conditions. So is my bond conditional based only on comfort or ease? Can I truly empathize, or do I retreat when things get too heavy? When things get too heavy, when the burden is strong, and we know this especially in our own lives. If the struggles of a spouse, if the struggles of a children are too heavy on you, what do you resort to? We see this a lot also with children. Like a child is struggling with something in school. A child is not molding a certain way. It becomes heavy on a parent. It's their child. Can we leave space to not try to fix and overshadow and be the hero effect on that child, and just allow that child to feel the pain, and for us to feel the pain with that child since we're the mother? Can we do that? How can I bring more compassion in one close relationship today? How can I bring more compassion and bonding in one close relationship today? And I'm going to go back to the Mishnah that we're going over. When there is something that is in between a relationship, when that something is gone, there is no relationship. But we started this class with the Mishnah that a love that is dependent on something, when that something is gone, there's no relationship. But a love that is dependent on nothing, that love will endure. Okay? So I keep on saying it, and I'm going to keep on saying because it's a big point. Start to reevaluate and analyze the relationships in your life. Are you in a relationship with a person, or are you in a relationship with what the person can give you? Same with God. Are you in the relationship with God, or are you in the relationship with what God can give you? And if he doesn't give you what you want, are you in a relationship with him still? Because the heart of bonding is not just shared happiness, it's shared humanity. So today's compassion in bonding is about, again, enhancing our compassion, loving the people we love and making space for them just because they're our people, not because of anything else. Okay? I'm going to leave you off with one story that I heard. I just want to find it.
Yesterday I was in a class and someone was telling that her son, the moral that I was teaching, she said that her son was sent to Gaza, and at some point she was in the car driving Israel to Hashem, please, her son name is Rafa. So to please do not send Rafa to Rafa. Please. And the day after Hashem did the opposite, like he was sent straight to Rafa. Wow. She was like, okay, Hashem. Okay, now what do you want from me? Like what? Is it, sometimes we don't get
necessarily what we're asking for.
What we ask, sometimes we're not supposed to get mad, but sometimes we get mad or we're actually what's happening, but why this to me?
Now I want to make something very clear because we're human, right?
Yes.
So when we're having those moments of challenge with God, we yes, there's a higher dimension of like obliterating our worries, but we're human. That pain you give to God. But you shouldn't have sent him there. It's my son. Please protect him. This is a authentic relationship that you could have with Hashem, and how you know that you're going deeper with Hashem is that you can come to a communication with him, that you can talk to him and say, this is not what I wanted, but I know you're protecting him, Hashem. So that's also strengthening the bond. If you can come to talk to your Creator that way, it means that your bond is
we were studying at Shara Bitachon, so
oh, that's beautiful. I love Shara Bitachon. Okay, I want to read you one more story. And then we're going to go on to our inspirational like lunch. Where it is. No. Maybe I know it by heart, but I just like to say it in because it's said properly. What is the limit?
And there is a limit, you have to be respectful. Sometimes you are ashamed to ask questions.
So you're saying sometimes we should watch the way we speak to Hashem, because after all, we're talking to Hashem, even if we want something so badly. So I'll challenge that.
And it's not so easy.
It's not so easy. For sure, we should be very mindful in how we speak to our Creator, because after all, there should be a reverence and awe in the way that we talk to Hashem. But it depends how close you feel to Him. Hannah, like we mentioned, Hannah, she spoke to Hashem with real chutzpah. And we learned from her prayer. From Hannah, who spoke with such chutzpah, making conditions on Hashem. Hannah, right? Shmuel's, the Nivya, Hannah. She spoke with such chutzpah. She said to him, "Oh, I know the halacha. I'm going to drink the water. I'm going to pretend to seclude myself with a man." And in the Gemara time of Gemara Sota, if I drink certain water and I was unfaithful with a man, then I would explode. But if I was not unfaithful, I would be blessed with a child. So much I want a child, I'm going to seclude myself with a man. I'm going to drink that water, and you're going to see that I wasn't unfaithful. So you're going to bless me with a like. Can you believe it? To her Creator, she's using tactics on how to grab a child. She was teasing her a lot. But the idea of your question was, aren't we supposed to watch out even so the way that we speak to our Creator? But Hannah, who had the most chutzpah, is the one that we learned tefillah from.
You're right.
So that comes to say that she felt such a degree of closeness to her Creator that even chutzpah didn't feel like unholy.
Sometimes when you are desperate, it's the way Rachel, she was doing the same.
Yes. Yes.
She was born.
No, I think that when we scream to the heavens, Dayenu, Ad Matai, I understand that it can seem like there's shame, but you know what it tells me? You know what it tells me? That I'm close.
Yeah, very connected.
I'm very close. Meaning, like, if I could, okay, let's think about it. If I could tell something very vulnerable and that in a very polite and diplomatic way to my husband, I can only allow myself to do that because of the closeness that I share to him, right? Right? So if I could say something that is maybe stern and rigid and hard to hear, hard to digest, it's because the closeness that I feel allows me to communicate these things. So with your Creator, if you feel close enough and if you feel like you're investing in that relationship every single day, then you can say things that might seem harsh.
That's what you would do with your best friend. Only your best friend can
Right.
think
Right.
that are really
Right.
real.
And that's David HaMelech also in Yonatan, right? They're the biggest love story of all the Tanakh. Why? Because you would think that they'd be the biggest enemies. Yonatan was supposed to take the throne after Shaul, but yet he's telling David what the plan of Shaul to not kill him, where to hide.
Yeah, he was hiding.
He was hiding, but Yonatan was safeguarding him. Their love was so deep because there was a closeness there. Okay, let me tell you this one last story. It's a really beautiful one, and it put me to tears because it's really all of our story. Okay, I don't know where it is. Oh, here. So, saying goodbye to you. Here, a little while ago, a man approached me. This is Rabbi Jacobson, by the way. A little while ago, a man approached me one morning in the synagogue and expressed his anguish over the fact that he doesn't experience God anymore in his life. That happens. We're that guy. Okay. When I originally became Baal Tshuva, which is a return to Jewish observance, right? Many years ago, he said, I felt an intimate relationship with God. I sensed his truth and his depth. Today, the man continues, I'm still a practicing Jew. I put on tefillin each morning. I pray 3 times a day. I keep the Shabbat. I don't eat shrimp. But God is absent from my life. How do I become a Baal Tshuva again? The Jew wondered. As I looked up at his face, I noticed a tear in his eye. I thought that he may be far better off than many people that are born and raised as observant Jews who had never even shed a tear over God's absence from their lives. Many of us are even unaware of the fact that there exists a possibility to enjoy a genuine personal relationship with Hashem. In the midst of the emotional conversation, he opened the book of Noam Elimelech and he said, this kind of distance where you yearn to one day have been like you were exalted, excited, jumping from joy, spiritually entertained with God. Just the fact that you yearn that, you're much closer than you can ever think. And that's also the idea coming into Shavuot. This whole work that we're doing, these whole sfirot, we've come to a point now that we're in bonding. We're soon going to get to Malchut and then we're going to get to Torah. It's big things coming. The bonding part of our sphere account is about really depthening our relationship. I feel so far, but that means I'm so close. I feel so distant, but that means I'm almost there. I feel so away, but it means that we're so profound. Right? It means that we're so profound. It means that it's so real. It's so real. I'm so upset with you, but I'm only upset with you because you're close enough for me to be upset. You don't get upset. I wouldn't get upset with you. I don't hardly know you. But somebody that I can love so much I'll get upset with is because I'm so close with them. It's real. We're coming to the points that it's becoming real. So much so that then we're going to get married. Shavuot, we're going to get married. And then Esther's going to tell us about marriage real soon, about Shavuot. But just as we think about it, in your lives, if this whole world is a reflection of what's going above, to here, think about the relationships you have in your life. Now check, first thing, are there conditions? With my children, with my husband, with my coworkers, with my best friends, are there conditions? Are there things, stuff, in between these relationships? I love him because of his wisdom, go to the library. I love him because of his money, go to the bank. I love him because of his good taste, go to the spa. I don't know. Don't let things interfere in your relationship. Learn to focus on the person, not on the between. Next step, check, great. Next step. Can I be there for them? Can I be there for them? Let me tell you one last story because it just hit me now. There's a man, because I once saw an email from a nurse, okay? I once saw an email from a nurse that said he had to take some blood work. So he's like, can you please hurry this up? I have a very important meeting. He's like, so she asked him, who's your very important meeting with? My wife. You have a very important meeting with your wife? Yes. Every day at 9 o'clock, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I have breakfast with my wife. And she's like, what's wrong with your wife? She's like, well, she's slowly deteriorating. And then she asked, does she remember that you even have breakfast with her? He's like, no, maybe a week before she remembered, but now she's kind of forgetting who I am. And you're still running to have breakfast with her? Yeah. But he's like, but she doesn't even know you. But I know her, he said. Okay, that comes to tell you again in your relationships. Even if you see somebody struggling, even if you see a default in another person, okay, you chose that person. That person chose you. God made that you're chosen together. Your children, your husband, your friend, whatever it is. Look at the person. That's again, checking off the stuff. Have a relationship with the person. When the person comes and tells you their struggles, make space, not to fix them, not to judge them, not to give you your best advice. That's great. But just let them pain and hold still with them. That's the energy of today. That's the energy of today. Holding still and being compassionate to the people that are with us. And with that idea, B'ezrat Hashem, we should look into our relationships, our interpersonal relationship, our relationships with Hashem, and we should bond. And bonding in the Tzfira is also foundation. It's a foundation. Once your bond is strengthened, you are creating a foundation to then come to the ultimate summit of Malchut, which is Shavuot. So thank you, ladies. Any questions?